everyone out there from the Sales Dev Squad community. It is your host, Mateo Elvira, back with another episode. We have a super special guest for you today. We're actually going to be speaking with Master Keith Winkle, who is currently the founder of Inspire Martial Arts and Fitness in Burbank, California. I personally attended a few of his classes, and not only is he just a really great mentor and someone who's inspired me personally, but he's doing a lot of great things and helping people change their lives. And I'm excited to have him on the show today to pass along some wisdom and share a little bit more about his journey. But thanks so much for being a great guest, Master Winkle.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Mateo. You really made me sound really good, so thank you.
Absolutely. But Master Winkle, let's just kind of hop into it here. Do you mind just sharing a little bit more about you and what you guys are doing over at Inspire, just to kind of inform our audience here?
Yeah, like I don't know how far back you want me to go, but I've been doing martial arts almost 35 years. And I've been teaching professionally since around 1988. And so it really changed my life. And as I grew as a martial artist, I started realizing, wow, I'm learning all these skills, but I never really get to use them. And so it just started me thinking about, okay, what's the bigger picture? You know, and then the bigger picture is that we want to have a happy, successful life. And this podcast is great because everything actually kind of relates to sales. And if you're going to get your way in life and create your best life, which is my tagline, there's going to be some sales involved, sales to your family, sales to your clients, and even selling to yourself. And we'll get more into that. But I just started realizing that there's a much bigger picture to self-defense. And I saw my students, they would come and crush it in class and learn how to kill somebody in 3 or 4 different ways. But then they would not be able to keep their finances straight, or they would have money troubles, or they had this angst all the time. They weren't really happy in life. That's what I started realizing. Wow, the real self-defense is learning to defend against ourselves. And so basically that's what we do. We have a great program. We teach kids confidence and we teach self-defense. But basically, in a nutshell, what we try to do is help somebody to create their best life, whatever that is. And then, okay, you're here, you want to go to here. How do we make that happen? And so that's what our program is in a nutshell.
Thank you for sharing that. I'd love to just kind of take a couple steps back. Like, how did your journey start, and how would you say it's kind of been so far?
Well, my journey in life has been a little rocky, not as rocky as some. My initial interest in martial arts was when I was really young. My parents took me to a Billy Jack movie, and this before your time, Mateo, and you know, there's fight scenes and that, so that kind of planted the seed. And, you know, through different circumstances, my brother and I ended up in foster care. And so I was in foster care for 5 years until I graduated high school. So doing martial arts wasn't really an option for me. And but as soon as I got out of school, I had, you know, in life, you know, if something bad happens, it can actually be something good that happens. So I was in a situation, kind of a carjacking situation, and it really stimulated me. Okay, let's do martial arts. And but once I got into the martial arts, I was like, wow, this really fulfilled a need for me of training in sport, which I wasn't really allowed to do in high school, and 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 then working with other people, because you can't get to your black belt without partners, and working in small groups and teams and one-on-one. And then as my belt started going up, I started, being put in leadership roles and what have you, and teaching small groups in the class. And then that's when I started to realize my gift. You know what I mean? And so I wasn't college educated. I didn't really have a background, but I had some kind of a knack to inspire people. And so, it started to develop. So basically, a seed was planted, a bad event happened, which stimulated me to take action. And then the result I got was beyond what I imagined it would be. And it's taken me many, many, many places across the world, teaching and performing in martial arts, and just impacted thousands of people, and just, I couldn't imagine where it would have went.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for that overview. In your words, what do you think makes Inspire a unique place to be a part of?
I think what makes us special is that we teach overall self-defense, and basically, okay, yeah, show me that you're learning these physical skills, but also show me as a child that your grades are going up, your interaction with your parents are going up, you're choosing the right friends in life. The recent studies come out that, okay, the 5 friends that your child is hanging out with have more say in their future than actually what you're doing. And so teaching the children how to choose the right friends, how to continue improving themselves in life, teaching adults to reevaluate, okay, built that into our curriculum. And so the person develops as a whole, from white belt up to black belt. You're going to see a major difference in that person's development. And that's what we teach.
That's awesome. One thing that I've really taken from, I guess, being a part of your classes is just obviously the thought leadership and the inspiration that you really want to, pass along to your students. So I'd love to kind of transition to just, a little bit more about just your thought leadership. And personally, I've heard of the quote, I'm sure you have too, your attitude is your altitude. So I wanted to ask you, how important do you believe it is in having a great mindset for anything that you do, and how important is mindset?
Mindset is everything, and really interested in self-improvement. But what I chased for a long time, and what I feel today, is motivation. Okay, what seminar can I go to motivate me? What person can I talk to motivate me? What podcast can I listen to motivate me? And what happens is you continue to motivate yourself, and that becomes your drug of choice. And without making things happen, that's going to lead to frustration. Okay, and so the mindset should be, 2 of my friends authored a great book called You Have Infinite Power, Chris Burlow and Paul Malella. And the first thing they teach in there is, what is your worthy ideal? And basically, why do you wake up in the morning? Okay, so for me, that took me 3 or 4 years ago. I started really focusing on that. I was like, okay, I got all these things going on. I'm making an impact, but I feel like I'm just really working hard, really putting out a lot of energy, but am I really fulfilled? And so I think one of the first things you got to do is ask yourself, am I fulfilled? Am I happy? And really question that, and really dig deep, peel those layers of the onion back, and really be honest with yourself. And I think many people are just not honest with themselves, And when I did that, I dug and I dug and I dug, and I found that purpose. And it's very simple. And everything I do in life is filtered through that. Okay. So this podcast with you, okay, you're a nice guy, handsome guy. Okay. I love talking to you. Okay. But I'm not going to do this podcast if it doesn't fit within the filter of my purpose. Okay. And so my purpose is very simple. I wake up every morning and I say, how can I help people create their best life? Interaction with my family, my focus on them, how can I help them create their best life? My interaction, I basically do three things as a business. Number one, I teach martial arts. Okay, it's my passion. It's my method of getting through to people. It's fun. And that's one piece of my business pie. The other thing, I coach people. I do health coaching and I do private life coaching to a limited number of people. And then the third thing, which is probably my favorite, is I inspire inspirers. In other words, if you're trying to inspire people, I want to work with you. And I feel like that gives me a further reach. So I have other martial arts studios that I spend time with, and I feel like if I can help them, they're going to help a lot of people. And those are basically the three things I do. And so I've really narrowed my focus to, I don't have a lot of things going on. And so it's not about, I do this to make some more money, because there's a lot of things you could do to do that. Okay. I want to have an impact on people. Okay. And if I do that, then I feel I'll be rewarded for that. But it's so freeing to wake up and know exactly what you want to do and narrow that down. So the motivation comes from there. Okay. Motivation is not going to come from just the next seminar or the next book. You'll get addicted to that, but you got to go deeper and know your purpose. Okay. Once you know your purpose, then you can establish quality outcomes. So I know where I'm going this year, I know where I'm going in the next 10 years. So then you got to close that gap. Okay. Another friend of mine, Grandmaster Keith, we've been best friends for 25 years. What I learned from him is habits. I'm more of a flexible person. I don't like the same thing every day. Today I'm at the Capital One bank coffee shop. Tomorrow I might be at Starbucks. I like that flexibility and different views in life. Okay, but what he taught me was get up in the morning, drink your water. Okay, have a habitual life. Okay, so once you know where you're going, once you know who you are and where you're going, and what are the habits that need to be established on a daily basis, they're going to give you that outcome. And then it's all habits and just every day improving your habits, whether that's eating or, your time management, all the things that support your life. And so that's kind of my approach.
I love it. Thank you, Master Winkle. I'd love to touch upon that you mentioned you love working with people who are passionate about inspiring, so you can essentially cast an even wider net. From your experience, like what attributes make a successful leader? What's the difference between a good leader and a great leader?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a sales podcast. Yes.
Yes, it is.
I've known many talented people, but if they don't have ability to get their message out there, then, it's untapped potential. And so a few things that I'm going to look for in somebody that I would work with personally. Okay. Number one, would I enjoy going out to dinner with them? Okay. Number two, would I trust my family with them if I wasn't there? And if that's not a heck yes, then I don't want to develop that relationship, because our life is super short and who we align with is us. Okay. So I think what we have to look for in people and what makes good leaders is their Facebook life and their real life is as close as possible to the same. And, you know, because a lot of people have a beautiful Facebook life, but they're not all that. And so all those things that I talked about, do they have a good character? Do they operate their time wisely? Okay. Are they positive or negative? Okay. How do they communicate with people? You know, everybody has tapped potential and everybody can be developed. Okay. Are they teachable? You know, I work with a lot of people that have had some success in life. Sometimes they're harder to work with because they know a lot, you know, and then I work with some people that are just a sponge. And so being teachable is a huge attribute of a good leader, because they know they're not all that. They know they have a lot to learn. And then being transparent with the people that they're teaching. And you know, that I think that the transparency is a huge part of being a leader. I hope that makes sense. I know sometimes I'll jump all over the place, but
absolutely. One thing I wanted to bring up, because I heard from your class, you kind of had like a discussion about like haters, like quote unquote, like haters. And like, I wanted to like, I would love for you to kind of touch upon that. Like, like what does it mean to have quote unquote haters, and like, how can anyone take like negativity in our lives and really use that as fuel to the fire, and not necessarily let it get us down?
Yeah. Quick story. And I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me, because you said fuel to the fire. I really used to believe in that. I don't so much anymore. When I first opened my school in Richmond, Virginia, 1990, and it was a struggle. I had no business experience, and I basically borrowed $10,000, and you know, I went to every bank. They said no. You know, we need a business plan. I'm like, what's a business plan? And so I got a handful of my students in this small town that you know, they were like the wealthiest students I had, and they had their own businesses and what have you. I said, meet me at the bank at 9 a.m. Monday morning. And the bank president, because it was a small town, everybody knew everybody. And basically, we walked in there, bank president, give him the money or we're going to take our money out. And I think maybe, I don't remember the details, but I think all 8 of them might have put sign for me. I'm not sure. But anyway, I borrowed $10,000, went to Richmond, Virginia, and I opened the school. Within 3 months, I'm living in the boys' locker room, penniless, and it was a struggle, and you know, I just had sheer will and motivation, and made it happen. I'd teach class. I'd take the down payment from the person I enrolled that night. I'd go print flyers, and after class, I would walk until the flyers were gone, and I would just do that every day and just make it happen. So finally, a few months later, we started stabilizing, and I went to the bank, and I wanted to accept credit cards in the old machine. You put the paper in like this.
Nice.
And they just sent me a form letter that said, Mr. Winkle, at this time, we feel like you're a futuristic business, and blah, blah, blah. And at this time, we're not going to give you a credit card account. People have this vision of haters, but haters, sometimes we wake up, they live at our house. You know what I mean?
True.
And so part of our role, like Katie and our role together in our marriage, is to be in alignment, because I can be fired up about something and she could say 2 words that frustrate me. That's a hater. And I could do the same thing with her. And so haters are sometimes close to us. You know, the people that we love know us best. But in business and in life, and like for myself, I'm in the middle of writing a book. I'm doing podcasts. I'm starting to put myself out there. Okay. The more you put yourself out there, the greater chances of somebody hating on you because they have a different opinion. Okay. But Mateo, that's nothing to do with you. If you're growing your podcast. If you don't have enough haters, you need to think a little bigger. Okay. So even though it can hurt our ego, it's also an indication of we're starting to grow and make things happen. Right. And I think that's a real character test. And I grew up pretty rough, and it made me a little needy, and that's part of what made me a great instructor. Finally, I realized I didn't change anybody's life. I gave a message, but they're changing their own lives. They're doing the action, and so get off of our high horse and focus on our purpose, and then let the haters do what they do, and embrace it. And that whenever you have a hater, then you say, wow, I must be getting somewhere. I must be making waves. I must be moving. So that's kind of my philosophy.
I love that. I heard that the other day, and I just wanted you to kind of share that with us because it's just an interesting way to kind of look at things like that in that perspective. But Master Winkle, like how, like especially like in sales, like a lot of people, tend to, leverage their ego, bad or good. How can we use our ego to our advantage, but not let our ego, almost hinder our success? Like how can you or anyone just take daily steps to, just keep that in check, but also, use it to your advantage when it's right?
Ego is a little dangerous, but replace the ego with confidence, and then mingle that with really care. And so that's what that's our school is really, you've been there, the vibe, but it's really special because of the people and the culture, and we're really protective of the people. We care about them. So in other words, we have somebody that comes in that doesn't fit in the culture, we're more than happy to let them go. We're not so eager, I got to make the sale. We want to help people find improvement in life, okay? But we don't have to have everybody. We really only want people that enhance our program. And a big part of that is Katie and Donna, who work with me, and the teams at the other schools that were really protective of that culture. So we don't have a big ego about it, but we're so confident about what we do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I'd love to touch upon just like culture, since you kind of mentioned it. Like, why is culture so important for your studio? And do you feel like having a really, really awesome culture, like is something that is just like magical, or, just like how important is culture? And have you kind of noticed a difference when maybe culture isn't the best?
In a company, culture will happen whether you want it to or not. Okay. And then any of my friends that open new martial arts studios or new businesses, that's one of the first thing I ask them. Okay. What is the culture you want? Right. Like a good friend of mine is a former UFC fighter, and he's got a great martial arts studio. Okay. And he, you would think, okay, he's a UFC fighter. If you go into his school, it's going to be, you get this picture of what it might be. It's nothing like that. Okay. Yeah. And back to ego, when somebody else would do better than me, I secretly didn't like it. And then when they would face a challenge in life, I would secretly inside, nobody else knew it. And to my face, to their face, I might say, oh, I feel bad, anything I can do. But inside, I kind of felt a little good. And I recognized that about myself. And I knew that was a weakness. And I was like, what causes that? And once I knew what caused that, I fixed it in myself. And then I made it part of what our culture should be.
That's awesome. I love that you kind of touched upon just like the self visualization and reflection. Like what are some ways and anyone can just take steps towards just self-reflection and really kind of just get to know themselves a little bit better?
Understand that we put limitations on ourselves, and it's not our fault. Okay, but it is our fault if we keep those limitations. Okay, so what your mom and dad did, the way they raised you, some people's parents are wealthy, some people's parents are poor, right? There's a reason for that. Okay, so if it's about money, your parents are going to kind of give you some ideas of how to think, and then you develop your framework or your blueprint, right? Me, my mother was hospitalized and my father left, so I was left. So that started creating my blueprint of people are going to leave me, right? And so what happens is all this stuff happens, and then who we're around, who we grow up with, everything, sports teams, politics, we start creating this blueprint. And then we bring this blueprint into our adult life. And then we're stuck inside that architecture. Okay. So what we have to do is start changing that blueprint. And it's a big part of what we do. And then this is the real tough part about life. So how you think about relationships, how you think about money, how you think about sales, how you think about business, how you think about everything is how you do everything. And so it starts with there's many ways to do it, but what's your imagination? Okay. A quick story about my son. You know my son.
Yeah.
Phenomenal young man. He's just turned 17. He's been practicing martial arts for 15 years. And it just, phenomenal athlete, phenomenal person. But when he was maybe 5, I always taught him about goal setting, what have you. And I said, KJ, what's your goal? He said, I want to fly. I said, awesome. Well, we're going to see your Aunt Cindy in a few weeks. We're going to fly on the airplane. He said, no, I want to fly. Oh, you want to be a pilot when you grow up, so you're going to learn how to fly the airplane. He said, no, I want to fly. He literally wanted to fly. Okay. But Mateo, in his mind, it's 100% option. Okay. He didn't learn yet, oh, you can't do that. All right. So these are all learned. And our parents mean well, our friends mean well, and our society maybe means well, but we still have developed these limitations in our mind. You know what I mean? And so for me, I had 3 marriages and I had 3 divorces. And I started looking at it when I met Katie, who is, thank God, we could do a whole podcast on her and how I feel about her and what she's done for me. Okay? But I had this fear. Okay, I'm in my 40s, Mateo, and I found this person that is okay, number one, why is she even talking to me? You know what I mean? And I fell in love with her, and I'm like, okay, I do not want to lose her. And so I started really reflecting of, okay, I've had 3 marriages, and I'm like, oh, I got an idea. I was the common denominator in all 3 of them. Okay. And then I started thinking about those people. First one, maybe not so much, but other 2, great people, high level, outgoing. Okay. Something about me, I was the common denominator. So let's work on that. And so then I develop an intention of making this a forever thing. So then I said, okay, let's make some simple goals. And I'll just share with you a few of my goals. Okay. My relationship goal is simple. Katie and I, we're going to give it 50 years. And then we're going to sit down and say, is this really what we want? Okay. So it sounds funny, but the intention. Okay. So we're going to make mistakes. We do every day. And she lets her down. Okay. But the intention is to be together forever. Okay. And when you have that intention, you start making the right moves in the relationship. Okay. And, 5 minutes before this podcast, she called me and said, you're going to do great. Okay. For me, that's, she could have wrote me a check for $1 million. You know what I mean? That's all I need to conquer the world. Okay. Basically understanding where you are and then really visualizing on a big scale what you really want if there was no limitation. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if you woke up in the morning, okay, where's your next vacation, Mateo?
Hopefully Hawaii in a month.
Okay, hopefully Hawaii in a month. What's that mean?
Well, you never know. I just kind of priming myself, worst case scenario. But I mean, we've already bought the tickets and stuff, so I guess it's not a hopefully, it's a will.
Okay. So somewhere along the line, you had that vision, and then you did the steps to make it happen, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. If money were no object, where would your next vacation be?
Probably somewhere in Europe.
Okay. So we have to think that way. Okay. There is no limitation. If I woke up this morning and I did exactly what I want to do, what would my day look like? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now, you're young. How old are you?
23.
23. Okay. Let me give you props. At 23, I wasn't. Okay. Amazing. Great job. And obviously, you're going to have a bright future.
Thank you.
But commit to this. Don't commit to setting goals. Commit to goal setting. Right? So learn the skill of setting goals. Right? Don't overcome your problems. Learn the skill set of overcome problems. Okay? Don't say positive things. Learn the skill set of how to speak positively. Okay? So if you start developing, okay, I don't know what your current income is, but pretty difficult to think past probably double that when you're young. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so to 10x or 100x, it's pretty far out in your mind, and you'll immediately sometimes set a big goal, and then you don't believe yourself. You'll be a hater, right?
That's right.
Okay, but try this. What would be a good next step? What I teach my students is, what's the most pressing thing in life for you right now? Okay, what is the one thing in life that you could improve and would make the most impact for the rest of your life? Okay, for me recently, I'm a fitness instructor. Okay, 4 years ago, I had a neck injury, couldn't exercise, ballooned up 25 pounds, 206 pounds. Okay, so I looked at myself and said, what would I teach my students? And I said to myself, okay, what would impact me? What could I do in the next 3 months that would have an impact the rest of my life? And that was obviously my health. Okay, so I decided over Thanksgiving, over Christmas, that I was going to change my health. Okay, I lost 25 pounds. I feel 30 years younger, but then the impact it had on me, I became a certified health coach and added that to my business. Okay, why did I do that? If I'm coaching you, pretty hard for me not to do it. So it's a selfish reason, right? So I'm really proud of you for doing these podcasts because, yeah, you're helping people. It's making you do it, right? And so by doing that, okay, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 years I added to my life because I'm super healthy, right? So what's next for me, okay? What is the short-term goal that I could put a 3-month really primary focus on right now, okay? Right now, it's about haters, which we talked about earlier, okay? I need to expand myself, my podcast, my YouTube channel, get my book out there and excerpts of my book in my blog. Okay, time for me to expand. Okay, what's been holding me back from that? A little scared of what people will think. Okay, so in the next 3 months, what could I do to feel like, oh, I made success and it's positively affects me for the rest of my life? And so it's very important to have these huge goals, but it's more important to constantly work on the mindset, right? And we learn, okay, if I did that, oh, I could do that. Oh, I did that. Oh, I could do that. And you keep expanding your mindset. You can't go from 0 to 1,000 instantly. You got to commit to that long-term process, right? Every area in your life always gets better. I focus on 5 things. I focus on my health. I focus on my friends and family, my finances and financial fitness. I focus on my purpose. And then finally, I focus on fun. What is the architecture of my life that makes it worth living? And anything outside of that, I don't focus on. Everything falls under that. And what I do every day is try to make myself believe a little bit more, right? There was a time that I had something to say, and as long as it was in the safety of my student body who loved and trusted me, then I was good. But to go on a podcast where I don't know who's going to see it, no, that's not me. But thankfully, you had me on, and thankfully, through time, my belief gets bigger in what I have to say. And if anybody doesn't like it, that's their problem. Okay? But I'm also willing to learn from them. Okay? So again, I don't know if it totally answers your question.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely. Thank you so much. I just have a couple other questions for you.
Sure.
How important is it to have like a mentor and coach in your life? And like, does the learning ever stop?
My mentor has a mentor. To me, it's like money. What is $1 worth?
$1?
Yeah. Okay. So most people think $1 is worth $1. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So today I bought this coffee for $1. Can you hear me here? Okay. Today I bought this coffee for $1, right? It's good. Well worth it. Okay. But now Capital One has that dollar. Yes?
They do.
Does it stop there? No. They built this beautiful room, nice chair, table, nice words. There's a camera up there watching me, nice lighting, carpet. They invested that dollar in me. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Made me able to sit here and talk to you. Okay. You take the dollar, you have a Zoom account, and you put out the podcast. Okay, the dollar keeps going. So the dollar really is millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, unless you stop that flow, right? When you stop that flow, then the dollar's in somebody's desk somewhere, just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the dollar now is worth $1, potentially $1. Okay, but if you can get that money to flow, it's endless. The $1 is endless, right? So I feel like leadership is the same thing. Okay, a couple of things happen. Okay, I talk to my mentor every day. Okay, but I don't have just one mentor. I have my martial arts mentor, Grandmaster Keith. Okay, 73 years old. When I train with him, when I go hiking, when I go jumping rope, doing martial arts, I feel like a beginner and I look like a beginner next to him. Okay, so that's my vision. That's the blueprint I'm trying to create for me. Okay, Master Winkle will be 73, inspiring his young students. Okay, if I do what he does, I'm likely to make that happen. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My business mentor, super successful, but not just super successful, just every day making it happen, changing lives, doing exactly what I'm trying to do. Okay. Has a great life, balance. Just got back from Hawaii. One of my mentors, Mike Storms in Louisiana, he helped me lose weight. He trained me how to coach people to lose weight. And then he spends time with me. Okay. I can't stop that leadership there. If it stops at me, that's it. Right. So I'm sending it on. Today, I'm sending it to you. Okay. And you send it out to your audience. And then maybe they'll learn something, send it out to their children or their audience, whatever their audience is. Okay. So 3 ways to learn. Yeah, actually 4 ways to learn. Okay. First way is School of Hard Knocks, right? And I did this for many years. Here's the problem, Mateo. Okay. Average person lives 80 years. You only have so much time. So we're going to get 10 years experimenting, right? Okay. There's not enough time to learn what you need to do to be successful. Okay. So the School of Hard Knocks method is not the best. Okay. Certain ways we're going to do it. I tried it with my marriages. Try again. Finally, I said, okay, I got to learn something. Okay. Second method of learning, and this is all part of our curriculum at Inspired Martial Arts. Second way of learning is self-education. All right. So you've asked some really powerful questions today. It's obvious you did your homework, right? You've read books, you've studied, and made yourself eloquently ask me questions. So if you're not reading, if you're not fertilizing your brain, if you're not listening to podcasts, you're not investing in books, investing in seminars, okay? If you're not doing that, the self-education, that's just a basic level of personal leadership, okay? So you have School of Hard Knocks. Next level of learning is self-learning, right? Next level of learning is mentorship, okay? And what happens in mentorship is, okay, first, do some study in mentor role, mentee role. and make sure you're in the right role. Many people I work with, they try to, I give them what my thoughts are, and then they sift it through, yeah, I think I'll use this. Okay, not too many people just say, whatever you say, I'm going to do. Okay, what many people do. I have a great friend in Florida. She is super successful financially, super successful in life, great person, has changed my life. Okay. Okay. But in the role of getting healthy, she said to me, tell me what to do. I'm going to do whatever you say. Okay. This has nothing to do with her going to work and 50 people answering to her, right? This has nothing to do with her being a professional, high-level professional in her field and making things happen. This is to do her getting her health back and deciding, okay, Keith Winkle has the answer. And that's hard for people because we're opinionated. We want to think through it and we have our own thoughts. Okay. But I think what's important for a mentor, and when you choose a mentor, you say, okay, would I like to have this person's life? I had some mentors that I had to really, 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 really think deeply about and then let them go. And I still love them very much, and I still care about them, and I still thank them for what they give me. But a point came to, I said to myself, if I could trade life with them, would that be? And it was a hell no. And so any of my mentors now, I can picture myself stepping in their shoes, at least in the area that I'm getting their help in. And getting a mentor basically buys you time, right? So here's what you're going to do. You're going to spend 10 years figuring out yourself, or you could figure it out in a week by spending a little cash or aligning yourself with somebody that's willing to mentor you, right? Okay. This podcast didn't cost you anything, did it? Right? Okay. But you became the person to me that I was willing to spend my valuable time with. If I go do a speech at some corporation, they're going to pay me $500 minimum an hour, because I'm not going to do it because I have to be away from my family, or I have to be away from my students who I love. So it's got to be worth my time. So for me to spend an hour with you free, okay, means that you did something to warrant that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you got to become the person that teacher's willing to spend time with you. Okay, but what's going to happen if you have a mentor is they're going to greatly reduce the time factor. So you're going to get where you want to go much, much, much faster. Okay? And then would you like to hear the final way and the most powerful way?
Please.
Okay. Final way is pass it on. Okay. I remember going to Florida where I grew up. And when I'd visit Florida, I would get back with like some of my old friends from high school. Okay. Invariably, what would happen is the F words would start flying. We'd be drinking more beer, and the being around them changed what I did. Okay. But then when I would go back and I would be with my young child, I would never say a curse word. You know what I mean? I would always watch myself. Okay. If I'm crossing the road, I might look at my phone and wait on it, whatever. But if I'm with my small child, I would never do that. I'm going to hold his hand. I'm going to be careful so he doesn't run out in the street. I'm protecting him. So what happens, Mateo, when you become a mentor to other people, it's really the most selfish, selfless thing you can do, because you are assuring your own success. All right? And that's why I became a health coach, not because I had all this extra time, not because I didn't have other business that is doing great. I became a health coach because number one reason, I wanted to be healthy the rest of my life. And I knew if I became a health coach, and I always had clients that they're going to look at me and they're like going to say, wow, he's really fat. How can he tell me how to get skinny? Right? Okay. So I wanted to put myself in a situation that assured my long-term success, combined with I love helping people. And that gets my juices flowing. Combined with, wow, this is a great business opportunity. Do you know what I mean? Win, win, win. So the fourth way of learning to me is the most powerful because it assures that you're getting better. So in our class, you know, we're teaching our techniques. We have a structure where we let the young children, if they move up a belt, part of their protocol for getting a new belt is how are they interacting with a belt below them, right? And for sales, right? Okay. Sales, a parent comes in with a new child and then they see an 8-year-old child greet their child, take their child to the locker room, show their child around, partner with their child and be patient and teach them. Okay. It's a great sales technique for us, but the reason we do it is to help our students learn faster and learn at a deeper level. Okay. So to me, there's 4 ways to learn, and they're all critical. Learn from your mistakes. That's full of hard knocks. Always educate yourself. Make a habit of reading every day, listen to podcasts, talking to positive people, you know, those kind of things, self-talk, everything. Okay. Third way, get a mentor. And then finally, pass it on. And, you know, phone a friend, share what you learn, which is exactly what you're doing with your podcast. We could sit and talk, but you're sharing it with more people. And I really commend you for that. And really grateful for that.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much. I think that's just super valuable there and a lot of good knowledge there. I know we're coming to the end of our time here, Master Winkle. So I just had one last question for you.
Yeah.
What's like one piece of advice that has really stuck with you over the years? Just, you know, from an entrepreneur perspective, being a mentor, being a mentee, you know, just something that's been applicable to your life in all facets, and something that's kind of stuck with you over the years.
Yeah. One of my teachers, he always said, bad things happen, always good things happen. Tough times are tough. And if you're going to be bigger than you are now, you're going to have to face obstacles. All right. And the avoidance of obstacles is the avoidance of growth, an avoidance of being a bigger version of who you are. And so, quick story was, in my, I was the first grandson of my grandfather, my mother's father. And so we always had a very special relationship. And in 1999, he passed away. At that time, most of my family, and my mother will hear this, and I love my mother, and maybe my aunts and uncles will hear this, and I love them with all my heart. But at that time, I couldn't speak to my cousin because my cousin's mom was speaking to my mom. Do you know what I mean? And then there's a lot of family conflict, and it was very awkward. And so when we met with the minister to talk about my grandfather's funeral, he said, would anybody like to speak? And of course, nobody raised their hand except me. I raised my hand. And I just saw this as an opportunity. And so when I spoke, I talked about what my grandfather taught me. And then I started going around the room and shooting an arrow in each and every one of my family members' hearts, and using the opportunity to make an impact. Okay? So my grandfather dying, that's part of life, and it's a very sad part of life. Okay, but that event caused the whole family to come back together. Okay, and we see this in many things. 9/11 was a tragedy, but you saw the country really come together at that time. Okay, so when you face a tough time, and you will, understanding that you're sharpening your saw, if you get through this, if and when you get through this, you're going to be stronger, you're going to be on the other side of it. And obstacles are part of life and part of moving forward in life.
Absolutely. Thank you. I love that piece of advice there, and I will definitely kind of keep that and pass that along moving forward. But yeah, Master Winkle, we usually end off this podcast. Obviously it's sales oriented in the tech space, but I feel like you're an entrepreneur and a mentor and a leader yourself. So for anyone out there that's listening, that's, maybe on the verge of opening up their own studio, or maybe a recent grad that's considering a potential sales opportunity in the tech industry. But they're not too sure, and maybe they're comfortable, and taking risks and taking a leap of faith is really hard. But what advice do you have for them?
Yes. Okay, I think that just really think deeply, and what is your purpose? Okay. Do you like the idea of having your own business, or and what is the reason you have your own business? Because basically, if you have your own business, you can work twice as many hours for sometimes half the money, so you can say that you're in your own business. And so I think that for me, the reason I have my own business is to have a bigger impact. I could go anywhere in the world and get a job as a martial arts instructor. Okay, but I don't want to minimize myself. I want to maximize my potential and maximize my impact. So I think spending the time to really understand, this is what I want. Okay, and deeply thinking about that, and then committed to that outcome, and committed to do whatever it takes to get that outcome. And again, we could do a podcast just on this, but I think people sometimes do things not necessarily for the wrong reasons, but they don't have big enough reasons. And so if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. And until you can get yourself to that hell yes, then it's a no. And you don't stick your toe in the water. You got to dive in. And so you've got to get yourself to the point that when you go for it, there's nothing stopping you. And then surround yourself with a good team, surround yourself with good people, and you'll make it happen. And reach out to me, anybody, reach out to me at any time for advice or ideas, and I'd love to hear from you. I really, really thank you for the opportunity today. It's great talking to you, and I hope some of the information was helpful to your audience.
Yeah, it was super, super helpful for me, and so I know it'll definitely be helpful for anyone listening out there. But for anyone listening out there, Master Winkle, if they want to reach you directly.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at Master Winkle, or look up Inspire Martial Arts in Burbank is where I'm headquartered. And yeah, pretty easy to find. And or just call you. And yeah, I'm more than willing to help people and align with people, and if they're similar interests to me. And again, it's been a real honor to talk to you today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being a great guest. I know we usually have, sales leaders on this podcast, but I had to get you on here because you really inspire me, and a lot of the things that you touched upon today, I feel like is super applicable to any entrepreneur or salesperson or just anyone out there that's just hungry and motivated to get better. So I truly thank you so much for being a guest here, and hopefully this is the first of many. Well, thank you so much, Sales Dev Squad community, for tuning in to another episode. I'll have Master Winkle's contact information on the video below. But thank you guys for tuning in to another episode, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.